All right, good morning, everyone. Everyone up?
Good morning.
All right, good to introduce myself. I am the new host of Creative Mornings. I'm sorry I'm not Kelly Brown. She's got this. She's still staying on the team, so if you miss her face, don't worry. She will still be around, thankfully. And we've also added a ton of new volunteers to the team. If you guys all met the people at the check-in table, Jaren's also in the back. That's Kelsey and Marianne at the table. Kelly behind her. Sam's there. Caddy's somewhere around here. Yep, Caddy's over here. I know we got there's email. Dave's doing email nowadays. We've got Joy photographing, Hannah's photographing. I did not learn the names of Scoob's guys. I'm so sorry about that. But we've got like a ton of people that are.
David.
Oh yeah, there, right. That's right. Oh yeah, you were on the board too for that panel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then of course Chris Talon doing the audio because he's a podcaster and you should listen to his podcast. Also, Bad Idea Social Club, you should listen to that podcast as well. I'm gonna stop going off script. This is all written down and I should just be going off hand. Alright, I would like to thank All Artworks for hosting us today for their space. And I'm going to start everything off with introducing John from All Artworks to tell you a little bit more about the space.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming this morning, everybody. How are we all doing?
Great.
I'm not going to do the whole, be more excited. It is early, but thank you for coming out this morning. We're super excited to have Creative Mornings here, and of course Scoob, who we've been happy to work with in the past on this trauma project, and also he's a friend. So we're really excited for him today, and also excited for all of you to be out here checking out All Artworks. I will take just a second to tell you about what we do. So All Artworks is an art gallery, and you can see that, right? We also have a foundation, the All Artworks Foundation, and through the All Artworks Foundation, we strive to increase access to the arts, particularly the fine arts, right? Spaces like ours have historically been, let's say, siloed, right? Or there's a perception that they exist for a certain kind of person. And that's simply not true, right? We believe that art is for everyone, and it doesn't matter what that kind of art is. Whether it's a $100 painting or a $100,000 painting. Something we notice a lot here in Grand Rapids is people poke their head in the doors. Is it free to look around? Yeah, of course. It is. And one of the things too that we believe is that platforming the arts and creatives is also really important. There's not enough of that here. There is plenty happening, right? We've got great institutions, folks from Art Prize here today. But even if there was twice as much of that happening in Grand Rapids as there is right now, it wouldn't be enough. So again, thank you for coming today. This is a part of that. All Artworks provides this space to creative endeavors, to creatives for free. We do that through our foundation, and so we're really happy to have you here today. I do want to tell you just a little bit about the art on the walls, which is a little unusual. Typically it's paintings, right? But what you see over here is bar napkin art. Right? And we do this as a fundraiser a few times a year. We also show this this collection of art in New York City as well. And 5 to 7 artists are participating in this particular exhibit of it. These artists have all achieved a certain level of acclaim and success in their lives as artists. Scoob does have a couple here, recent Art Prize winner, right? So, and then it goes all the way up to an artist named Tyler Loftus, who's also the founder of All Artworks, and he's an extremely successful artist. And so these are more than just drawings on napkins, right? They represent the musings of, some of the best artists in the country. And as a fundraiser, we sell these, they're donated to us, we sell them, and we use that to activate nonprofit art programming in Grand Rapids. So if you get a chance to take a look, and if you do happen to be interested in any of them, please let me know, and I can help set that up for you. With that, I want to hand it back over to you, sir. And thank you for coming, everybody. I really appreciate it.
There are also a lot of events that happen here, so look on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you can. All Artworks has a lot of stuff going on. Two sponsors I totally forgot to mention at the top. Last Mile has been providing our coffee most weeks, and we could not be more thankful for that because, you know, why else are people here in the morning rather than drinking coffee, right? I'm just kidding. I also would really like to throw a shout out to Square One. They really got us out of line for this event, and so I did not see you this morning. Lisa, if you're here, thank you so much. Don't know if you're here or not, bro. Also, we do have a global partner now with Adobe. Adobe has recognized the impact Creative Mornings is having on the global ecosystem of creativity, and they are committed to support creatives all around the world. Just like our local partners, global partnerships are the fuel that power us as an organization. They ensure us that Creative Mornings continue to grow and thrive around the world. A lot of Adobe users here, I'm guessing, a handful of you. I would like to throw out trying out Adobe Express. It's the quick and easy create anything app from Adobe. Flyers, social media campaigns, standout videos. Adobe Express has you covered, and it is free if you're a current or existing Adobe user. There's a lot of these logos that you can see on the back. Normally we would have our projector here, but these beautiful windows forced us to put it in the back there. So I would also like to say that the theme for this month is layers. Layers give our work and lives richer depth. By peeling them away, we can discover our deeper truths. And that is why we have Scoob here this morning. First of all, I do have to read the manifesto. It is on the back if you haven't read it by the coffee already. Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections, learning from others, hugs and high fives. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities worldwide. Everyone is welcome. All right, finally, done with me, done with all this, we're ready for Scoob. Scoob's a multidisciplinary artist and creative visionary based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He's best known for leading the Trauma Project. There it is. A powerful artistic endeavor that addresses themes of trauma and healing through a combination of visual art and music. His project, which won the grand prize at Art Prize, features a collaboration with over 20 artists. Aside from that, he lives a double life as the artist behind Custom Steppers, if you're following him on Instagram, a prominent custom shoe designer known for his innovative and artistic approach to footwear. Scoob has gained international recognition for creating a one-of-a-kind, hand-painted sneakers that blend street style with artistic expression. Now, I'd like to introduce Scoob the artist.
Hey. So, if you told me a year ago I was going to be talking to a large group like this, I would have been like, man, that's crazy. You know? I would probably been extremely nervous, but over time, just everything I've done in the past is just like, you know, it just feels good. You know, just people really wanting to hear what I have to say and stuff. And one, I do want to give a huge shout out to the Last Mile. That's what my dream is. Eric in the house was good. But yeah, just a little bit about myself before I dive into layers and how deep layers actually goes. Is that you know, my journey started at Last Mile. And when I was at Last Mile, man, I was fired from my job. So I was fired from my job for really nothing. It was more so just getting rid of somebody. And I was stuck in a space where I had to figure out, what am I gonna do? Who am I? You know, where is my passion at? And I come from the field of aviation where, you know, I had a passion for turning wrenches, you know, just fixing stuff, the satisfaction behind fixing the issue, problem solving. You know, I'm big on problem solving. And over the past, man, 2 years has been nothing but problem solving for me, you know. Like, I like to say that I am a multifaceted individual, but man, when I say I wear a lot of hats, I wear a lot of hats. I do management, organizing, event planning, building personal relationships, building relationships in the community. And a lot of this, what I'm talking about, is going to tie into layers. So when you think about the word layers, what's the definition of layers? Most people look at it as like things stacked on top of each other, layers in terms of art is a process, right? Keyword process is that, you start with your base code, then, whatever is followed up behind that, but it's a process, right? And to me, I come to find out that the word layers is really a boundless word. And when you convey it with art, art is unlimited. Art is infinite. Now, based on everyone in the room, raise your hand if you are creative. If you consider yourself creative. Right, yeah, raise your hand. Because really, everyone's hand should be up. And what makes us all creatives is just that, man, it could be the simplest thing, like your choice of clothing, right? What you chose to wear today. Art is in everything. From this structure, how it's built, an architect, an engineer. A lot of us know how to reverse engineer something. We look at something, trying to problem solve. Man, it's no different than trying to figure out why is my microwave not working. You know what I'm saying? So with that is that with layers is that it ties into a lot of things in life. And what I'm going to do today is that I didn't write no speech for today. I'm going to give you who I am. I'm going to be raw. And I'm going to speak my view of the world. I want to peel back layers like an onion for you to see how I see the world. And going into that is that layers is like building a foundation, trying to build a house. It starts with the foundation. With the foundation is that it starts with what are your principles? What is it that you stand on? And for me, is that my dad, I was thankful enough to have my father in my life. So I had both my parents. And with my father, is that he was very strict, very straightforward, and everything that came out of his mouth was a metaphor. I hated metaphors. Because it took me time to understand what he was talking about. My favorite, which I used to hear all the time, I hated it, but I love it now, because it's so true, is that what's done in the dark always comes to the light. Who knows that? Right? And he always emphasized a phrasing, but each word had a meaning. And this is something that stuck with me for life. But before I go into that, is that in order to grow and really excel in the community, is that you have to move with integrity. You have to move with consistency. And it's just like, with those things, is that it really strengthens your bond with the community. But with that consistency, you are able to excel, expand into areas that you've never been into. But it all starts with you taking that step. You have to take a step forward. So going back into what my dad always instilled into me was that it was a phrase, and it's called proper planning prevents poor performances. Anybody know about that? Yeah. All right. So with proper planning prevents poor performances. Just the phrasing alone is pretty straightforward, right? Right? No? All right. So now I'm gonna dive into it. So with proper planning prevents poor performances. Really, it prevents piss poor performances. And now I think y'all should get that now. But it starts with the first word. And this is gonna go into what layers are. Layers are a phase. Layers are a process. Proper. The word proper. Proper is doing your own research. Proper is equipping yourself with the tools, right? Equipping yourself with the proper knowledge of what it is that you're doing. You have to be prepared. Proper planning. Planning then goes into, you have the knowledge now. Now I have goals. How do I achieve those goals? How do I make moves on those goals? But just making the moves is not like straightforward. It's not simple, you know. There are a lot of things that you have to do. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable spaces. You have to step out of your comfort zone. I'm sorry, Coach. You have to step out of your comfort zone in order to succeed. You have to step out of your comfort zone in order to grow. You cannot put yourself in a box. You put yourself in a box, it's no different than putting a dog in a cage and thinking that your dog is going to get big. No, it's going to adapt to the environment, right? So, proper planning prevents. When you properly plan, you now look at the future. When you look at the future, you see how you're going to achieve your goals. You have to look at what's going to go wrong. What's a definite yes? What's going to definitely happen? You have to be prepared for the unexpected. That's where the proper planning helps you prevent these issues from coming about, right? So what I like to do is that, man, when I get an idea, and when you first get an idea, it always sounds great, right? It's just like, yeah, this is gonna work, you know? This is the best idea I ever had, right? And then you sit there, you really start to, break down your idea. Like me, man, I will plot something out 7 times, go through all the different types of outcomes so that I can be prepared for what the results are gonna be. Because you can plan all you want, but you can't control how time moves. You can't control the results in life, but you have to be prepared for it, right? So I sit there, I plot out what my next move is, how's it going to, what are the outcomes going to be of it? And if they go negative, how do I recover from those negatives? And majority of the stuff you do is not end up negative. You have to be ready to fail. You have to fail in order to grow. If you're winning all the time, you didn't learn anything. It's no different than stuff being handed to you. You don't appreciate it, right? But if you work hard for it, you appreciate it, right? Mm-hmm. So, going on from proper planning prevents poor outcomes, poor performances. Like, it's pretty much self-explanatory from there. So, after going through proper planning prevents poor performances, do we have a better understanding in the room? Does everyone understand? Because I know not everyone understood what proper planning. It's a lot of words. But with that, is that's like the key thing for me when I'm building my foundation. Going into the art aspect of it is that, again, art is infinite. When you're sitting there creating, and let's say that you make a mistake, like it's never gonna be perfect, is that someone else looking at your art and be like, wow, like this person really knows what they're doing. Just that you have to believe in yourself and what it is that you're creating. And going through that process is just that you have to be ready to take time for yourself. There are gonna be times where you're gonna step away from your work, but when you're sitting there creating, you need to focus on what is the purpose? What am I doing this for? So, from there is that I want to go into more about the trauma project and how complex it really is. So like, to the general public, when we look at how the trauma project is put together, is that a lot of people see it as an album, and most people don't know that there's paintings with the album. Or some people see the paintings and they don't know that there's an album paired with the paintings, right? But everyone knows is that it represents steps in dealing with trauma. So when you're going through the trauma project, is that it's a combination of art and music put together, which was not easy at all. And when you're going through each painting, there are 18 tracks, 16 paintings. Each painting represents a point in the journey. And when we go from point in the journey, is that now you break it down into three parts. Is that the first part is about the pain that you went through. After you go through the pain, the next part is accepting that pain, right? And at the end is that it's about growth, mainly post-traumatic growth, which is something that a lot of people don't know about or talk about. But with the trauma project is that it's broken down into multiple layers. But the three main points of it is pain, acceptance, and growth. And that's how you overcome your own issues within yourselves. There's not a single person in here that is trauma-free. We have all gone through some form of trauma in our lives, whether it be rejection as a child, or blunt force. Like, there's something that sticks with us that holds on to our soul that we just cannot, pull off of us. But it's a matter of how you accept it and deal with it, because trauma affects how you maneuver through life. So, going back into the trauma project, I feel like I'm saying going back into a lot. But it's gonna be a lot of bouncing back and forth, but everything I'm talking about has a purpose, because I'm trying to show you, one is just first, the build up. So like the full picture of what it is, and then breaking it down into pieces of what each piece actually means. So right now we're talking about the trauma project as a whole and its purpose. And when you sit there and you experience this with both the music and the art, that's where the journey starts. You can't just do one or the other. You are depriving yourself of half an experience. So when you experience both, is that it literally takes you on a journey. You hear other people's story through visuals, but it allows you to analyze yourself and see, one, how far you came, and two, what is it within yourself that you are still dealing with? What is it within yourself that is still in the dark? And once you acknowledge what it is that's in the dark, which is you, and you face yourself, that's where the change happens. Now I'm gonna show you how complex the trauma project is. So we got music, we got art. Those aren't the only pieces of it. It's a lot of different gears turning, but the key thing about this whole thing is that everything has to move in unison. We have to move together. It has to be a flow. And if one gear seizes up, what do you think happens to the machine? Right? It seizes, right? The whole machine stops. So from there is that you have the music, the art. When I first started the trauma project, I was inspired at Last Mile by a woman named Susan Clark. She came in and she happened to be someone that deals with people addressing their trauma and stuff. And at that time, like, I just recovered from a back injury that took me out for 1.5 years. And it left me, a little lost mentally. And after talking with her, is that it inspired me as an artist, is that I always knew that I was bigger than just doing shoes. I knew that I had a purpose, and my purpose was more so impacting and changing lives. So I'm hoping that everyone walks away today with something that inspires you. And with talking to her, is that it really made me think, like, man, what is it that I need to do for myself to, one, heal the child within myself, and to also liberate my soul. And from there is that I had to dive into my life and figure out what is it that I do in my life that brings me peace. What is it, like, we all have a hobby in here, dude. Like, raise your hand if you have a hobby. When you do that hobby, actually, I'm just gonna ask you, when you do that hobby, what does it do for you?
It puts
be in a more creative headspace?
Creative. So when you're in that more creative headspace, do you feel as though like you mute the world?
Yeah.
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 Anyone else feel as though they mute the world when they're in that creative headspace? That's good. That's good. So for me, I had to sit there and identify what is it that brings me peace when there is no peace around me. When the world's on fire, what is it that keeps me smiling? What is it that keeps me laughing? And how do I get other people to see that? You know? And from there, I found that picking up a paintbrush is liberating for me. So I wanted to see, how do I transfer that to other people to bring them liberation without even picking up a paintbrush? And liberation comes from inspiration. So from there, I started painting my own feelings, my own emotions of how I was dealing with trauma. And I found that each painting represented a different point in my life, but I had to focus on those points. What I realized that was brought to my attention by my wife when I was creating is that painting that I did, she'd ask, how do you feel? She'll notice the change. I'll be stuck in those moments of pain where it's just like, I'm maneuvering different through the day. My interaction is different, you know? And with that, it was just like trying to find, going into the music side of it, is that, all right, the pain is in the art. You can see it in the art. Now, how do I convey that message into words? And what I did was that I went into the community and I sat there and made connections with individuals in the community to add another aspect to what the Trauma Project is, instead of it just being paintings. And I had certain individuals in the community hold on to that painting, create a bond with that painting, understand what the painting is actually about. And with that, is that it inspired the music, it inspired their story. It allowed people to be vulnerable. Do you know how hard it is to get people to be vulnerable? Do you know how hard it is to have men be vulnerable? The Trauma Project is majority men being vulnerable and telling stuff that's been, you know, on their mind, stuff that they couldn't move past, stuff that makes them who they are. And for the artwork to be able to do that, and then to bring them both together and then just put it in your face. Like, I'm not gonna ask you, hey, come check out this, this painting with art. No, I put it in your face because that's like the best type of marketing is that if you want people to really be exposed to something, you gotta put it in their face. You can't sit there and ask. You just gotta do it. You know? You gotta put the work in. And with that, is that, man, the music really added a whole nother layer to what the Trauma Project is. And with the visual art and the musical aspect of it, is that it really allowed people to be vulnerable with the art. And one thing I noticed about during Art Prize when I had this on display was that there were people that realized they are afraid to address their own trauma. There were people that couldn't make it through the project because they weren't ready to address things within themselves. Or it was more of like, you're only thinking on the top layer when it goes deeper than that. And some people just couldn't open their ears. All they heard was just, oh, this is just rap. I don't like rap. No, it's not rap. Music that comes from the heart, that is real and about your life, about yourself, that's real music. That's music that connects to your soul no matter what genre it is. Is that when you hear the voices and how each word is said, you can tell that it's coming from the soul. There's a difference between someone just talking and someone that's speaking from their soul. Like, man, with the Trauma Project is that not only was the music coming from a vulnerable space, is that it didn't just affect the viewers. express, and then on top of that, see how people reciprocated their emotions and stuff, is that it helped liberate them. It helped liberate themselves. They were able to let go of part of them because of this. So, going back into the Charm Project, here we go, bouncing around again. But going back into the project is that now, what I've done is just, I told you the base level of what the Charm Project is, right? Then I told you how the art was made. Told you how the music was made. And through all of that, how do you think all that stuff happened? What do you think that I as an individual, you as an individual, if you were in my shoes, what do you think you had to do to make that stuff happen? You gotta put the work in first.
A lot of phone
Put the
calls.
work in, huh?
A lot of phone calls. A lot of text messages.
Work. You gotta put the work in. And as you're putting in the work in, you are now establishing these new layers. You're now building up. So remember, he's talking about the foundation. What was my foundation? Proper planning prevents poor performances. When you put that, and you, not even put that, if you apply that to everything you do in life, you'll never lose. Never. Because at the end of the day, there is no such thing as losses unless you make the same mistake over and over. Then you're just a loser because you're not learning. You're not learning. If you do the same thing over and over and you don't learn from it, I got that from my dad. I remember once I said to my dad was that, man, as a kid, I was an idiot. I made a lot of, excuse my language, but dumb ass decisions. And he said to me, no, son, you're not an idiot. You was learning, you was growing. An idiot is somebody that doesn't learn. Good? So, I'm sorry guys, I just distracted myself. Every time I talk to my dad, man, it's always some type of metaphors, and then I start relaying that to other people. But with that is that, the Trauma Project was something to help people address their own traumas, right? So that's one layer of it having purpose. There's also a layer of impact. It changed the lives of those involved in it. It changed the lives of those that experienced it. And that's the part that goes deep. It goes real deep. Is that the Trauma Project was something that formed like a family. Basically a family. Is that everyone was connected through their own experience and a common goal. That's deep. So from there is that, let me go a little bit more deeper on how the Trauma Project has really impacted people's lives. I have an artist named Sunny Ski. Sunny Ski is a part of a track that is called The Fall. What The Fall is about is pride. Pride is the downfall of man. Pride will be your downfall if you move with pride. Y'all following what I'm saying? You understand? Pride will be your downfall. You cannot move with pride. Pride ties into anger. Pride ties into your ego. Pride ties into how much you value yourself, which is ego again. And if you cannot put your ego aside, you burn bridges, you ruin opportunities for yourself. It's because you think you're right all the time. Are you right all the time? Hell no. I can't tell you how many times I was talking out my ass like, hey. And over time I had to learn is that I don't ever go into a conversation without being educated on what it is. Because a fool will speak on something that he doesn't know and eventually be exposed for it. Right? So, back into Sunny Ski and the track being The Fall, which means the pride, conquering your pride. And in this song, he talks about how hard-headed he was. He didn't want to listen to anybody. And he kept bumping his head. He felt like he was losing. And then it affected his relationships. And over time, he was able to figure it out, is that I can't have this mindset. I have to be accepting of my environment. You have to be able to adapt to your environment. And with that is that the art has an even bigger connection than that. So like, here's another layer for it. Is that one, it talked about his life and dealing with pride and how it ruined a lot of stuff on him. But the painting was of a hand. The painting was of a hand reaching out of a hole. And when you look at this painting, is that it makes you think, this person needs help. I need to reach out for them. And when you're dealing with trauma, you're gonna have pride. When you're dealing with trauma, you're not gonna wanna talk. How many people talk openly about trauma? Except for you. But how many people speak openly about trauma? Not many. And that's a lot of peeling you gotta do for people to open up about their own life traumas. And what the fall, like with the art combined with the music and the fall and it being about pride, is that when you look at this painting, you want to help the person, is that the deeper message is that we all we got. The deeper message is that you cannot move past your trauma alone. You have to get help. You have to have somebody there to support you. Because with that support, it brings you a step closer towards growth. You gotta see the phases in that? Is that you have to, one, address it within yourself, and you have to be willing to ask for help, because there's nothing wrong with asking for help. But if you're someone who can't ask for help, what is that? Pride. Pride. So, that's just one of the paintings with the trauma project, but all I'm just trying to get at is that layers is a boundless word, and layers ties into a lot of things. And when we're talking about art is an emotional thing. Art is an expression of self that we put out into the world that a lot of people are not confident to do, you know? But it just goes to show you just how infinite art is, and how impactful it is in the world. Everything you see is art, even from your thought process of how something works, how you want to achieve something, your step-by-step process, what you visualize, those are all forms of art. Art is unlimited, but it's all a process. And that's how I'm gonna wrap it up today, y'all.
Does anyone have any questions for Scoob?
Oh, so obviously with a project like this, working with so many artists in such a vulnerable place, right? Inevitably, there's conflict. So anything you want to share about your experience navigating the interpersonal conflict as you were, going through this process with so many different people?
So, for me, again, the 5 Ps, proper planning prevents poor performances, is that dealing with the trauma project, I'm not dealing with one person, I'm not dealing with 2, I'm dealing with 20, over 20. And that's just performers in general, creatives that create their own music, express their emotions in music. What do you think I'm dealing with within each individual? An ego. So with that ego is that I had to educate myself. I had to, one, stay true to who I am, never change who I am, but also adapt to my environment in order to get the best results. And one thing that was for sure is that I do not talk to each member the same. Everyone I communicate with differently, because not everyone learns the same and not everyone grows the same. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That was hard. Over 2 years, we're talking about, I lost sleep. I put in overtime. I put my neck on the chopping block just to show people what it looks like when you put in the work, when you invest in yourself. And by me investing in myself and investing into the people around me and showing them the results, is that that's how I built people, that's how I built more belief in what it was I was doing. So I had to be a real leader, and I had to learn skills that I never had.
What's the most boring thing you do to stay healthy?
The most boring thing I do to stay healthy? Man, why is that a hard question? The most boring thing I do is I can sit on my couch for like 2 hours doing nothing, but it's a part of, man, my art process is very, very special. Is that I can have a canvas sitting there. One, I have to be in the mindset. Once that mindset's gone, I'm like, yeah, forget that, man. I'll come back to it. I have to be inspired to do it. But I sit on my couch and I sit there and think about what is it that I'm going to create, or what is it that I'm going to do in a month? What is it I'm going to do next week? Who is it that I need to talk about? I just started doing like a little checklist in my head. Is it healthy? Maybe. You know, I feel like it is. I'm very big on planning. I like to be what you call diabolical. I just try to move like I'm Batman. I'm prepared for all the aspects. You know, whatever results come from it, trust I was ready for it. You know, I already saw it coming. And yeah, like that's probably the most boring thing I do is plot. We'll put it in the lamest terms, and it's about the 50-50. It's 50-50 on the health. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I want to thank you for doing the whole project. Like, I was impressed watching you do the painting, pull all the people together, and like, kind of to your point, like, I thought it was super beautiful just to see so many different artists from across the state, like, you know, collaborate together. And I know you were I talked to so many different artists, and I know the project pulled stuff out of them where they were surprised to see growth in themselves. And I'm curious, like, what was the biggest thing you saw in yourself that you didn't expect?
I'm gonna be honest, I saw the worst in myself because I was pouring into cups and my cup wasn't being poured into, but I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for the community. I wanted to show what unity looks like and what it takes to maintain unity. So my cup is still empty, you know. I've had a lot of success. When I won an art prize, I can tell you right now how I felt. When I won an art prize, I wasn't excited. Yeah, I shed a tear the day I found out I won because it was recognition. It was acknowledgement for my efforts. You know, it showed me that my work meant something. But me as an individual, I gave up so much, so many sacrifices that I didn't feel satisfied. I wasn't happy, you know, is that I did enough to turn over 20 individuals into legends in that community. Is that we was able to accomplish something that's unheard of. Let's keep in mind, I've only been in Grand Rapids not even 3 years. Not even 3 years. I moved here in October of 22. By April, I was in high gear. I was making moves. I realized what I wanted to do. And like, I feel like my story should show people what it looks like when you believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, you make the moves. And the biggest thing, never put faith in another person because they will always let you down. You have to be ready to put the work in yourself. Doesn't mean you can't ask for help, but you gotta be ready to work. And with success, coming from my guy John, comes more work.
What's next for Scoob or the Trauma Project?
With the Trauma Project is that, I'm gonna talk about the Trauma Project first before I talk about myself, but let's look at the Trauma Project as like a plane. I got the plane to take off. Now it's about landing the plane. I gotta land the plane. Is that I gave people the tools. I made myself tools. Now it's about going down my own path. And these individuals going down their own path. Is that I showed what it took to make change, to gain attention, to make a difference. I gave you the tools. Now you have to go and use them. the Trauma Project served its purpose and will live immortally, eternally. You know, it's gonna be something that's gonna resonate with a lot of people. We achieve greatness. There's nothing else. It's for the community. Now you need to focus on yourself. And for me, I'm just looking at what are my strengths? What is it that I need to work on? How do I feel that I can make a change? And also, yeah, thanks for the reminder. With the Trauma Project is that actually, if you guys go on YouTube, we actually have a Tiny Desk submission. So what we did was that we wanted to be very different. We didn't want to have something that you could just skip past. You know, we want something that stood out. And I only had 10 days, really 8, to get that whole thing situated and meeting a deadline, getting it submitted for a deadline. And what I was able to do is organize with individuals I wanted involved, and that was needing a band, needing the performers, having music that's already that's learned already, and having a sound man, having a videographer, you know, having all these things to help have a successful, a successful session. And I was able to have everybody on the same page. Everybody was there. It was a powerful moment. There's nothing like live music. And we were able to record amazing video that took me 3 days, 3.5 days to edit and submit. And I was very proud of it. And just now it's just being judged and waiting for that. One thing I love about judged competitions is that it's not judged by the public because there's so much bias in that. But with the Trauma Project, it's just that I'm opening up more opportunities for the artists to grow. But as far as me as an individual, I'm just trying to find my own path and where do my skills take me. You know, where do I fit in? What is my space? Who am I? You know,
So being that you are originally from St. Louis, and you've been here for 2.5 years or so, and you were able to pull together such a comprehensive project with so many people in the art community, what did you learn about Grand Rapids?
Be honest.
Do y'all want the
Be honest. Be honest.
Do y'all want the brutal truth, or do you want me to just? All right.
You need to speak truth.
Come on.
Yes. All right. So one thing is that, before I go into what I'm saying, is that for me, this is how I move. I'm all about integrity. I'm all about building a relationship before I ask for anything. I'm all about making letting someone know that I am reliable and showing that. And with Grand Rapids, is that actually hold on one second. I gotta figure out how I want to approach this.
Yeah, I didn't mean to set you up.
You really did, though. You ain't slick.
Okay. An emotional decision is a reckless decision. Remember that. An emotional decision is a reckless decision. Why is it reckless? Because you put no thought into it. You thought off your emotions. And when you think off your emotions, it comes with regret. You have to think logically. You have to really break down your decisions. Do not make a decision based off of how you feel at that time, because it's only how you felt at that time. And with Grand Rapids, I ran into a lot of no's, a lot of false doors, a lot of entitlements. Heavy on entitlement, I'll tell you that right now. Heavy on entitlement. A lot of, yeah, and then not do. Yeah, I did, and not do. I ran into, a lot of people that are hurt inside, you know. One of the biggest things with Grand Rapids is just that we have to address the truth within ourselves. We need to understand the power of community and how we can actually get things done if we all come together and work together. And like with Grand Rapids, it's just that, man, just you have to stay true to yourself, but realize that there's a lot of people around you that are not true to themselves and have agendas. You know, so that's all I can really say. And the most lamest but still brutal is just that, yeah, don't put too much trust in people, put in the work, and you know, watch out for the entitlement. Do not become a product of your environment. Be better than your environment. So, yeah.
Follow him everywhere you can find him. He's Custom Steppers on Instagram. Tiny Desk. There's a bunch of ways you can follow this guy. I'd also say come to some events here at All Artworks. I've been to a few and they're always a very, very good time. Buy some coffee from Last Mile, listen to Bad Ideas Social Podcast, and I think that's...
And catch Scoob speaking next week, 2 weeks, the February 28th at Break It Down, Make It Better, a regional creative professional development conference for artists, creatives, designers, whatever it is you call yourself.
So yeah, go to Break It Down, Make It Better.
Yeah, at the Break It Down, Make It Better, I'll be public speaking with I'll be speaking with Laura she's from Satellite Collectives. I'm actually they're actually my fiscal sponsor. So I get a lot of support from them. There's nothing like getting support from fellow artists that understand, the journey, the process, what it takes. And at that event is that I will be elaborating more on imposter syndrome. And just realize that, you're the one that put the work in. Imposter syndrome is no different than comparison being a thief of joy. And that was something heavy that I went through before I came here that I had to address with myself, is that when you compare your success to someone else's success, you're going to eat away at your soul. It's like a vampire that takes, but don't give. Okay?
Awesome. See you guys for Break It Down and for next month's event.